Hi, everyone. Today I'm here to speak about how the current pandemic has forced corporations to balance technology investments on risk and agility. I have looked at this problem quite a bit over recent weeks, and after some research, have reached the conclusion that the coronavirus pandemic has really tested the readiness of companies to manage crisis and change the way we work forever. And what we have noticed is that while no or very few corporations, and I could probably say no corporations or governments were really fully prepared to face this black swan event, the level of readiness has differed significantly from business and industries from one to another, with those companies with the strongest focus on risk and agility able to respond with the greatest speed and resilience. And many financial services and technology companies are leading this pack. So I want to share with you some of our findings with some of the examples that we have. First, in the case of financial services, the effectiveness of the response is in part because of years of heavy investment to shore up their business continuity plans against any type of virus. I smile because there has been also a lot of cyber virus, not just a physical virus. And since the financial crisis in 2008, the importance of anticipating, understanding, and mitigating risks has become deeply ingrained in the culture of financial services operations, in view of also heavy regulations both at local and global level. At the outset of the COVID-19, one of the examples is Banco Santander, which is one of the top 5 banks in Eurozone, enabled almost its entire Spanish workforce, which was 26,000 people, to work from home days before that the Spanish government ordered a nationwide welcome lockdown on March 15th. This was possible because the bank had already been expanding its cybersecurity resilience. Today, the bank has over 110,000 employees working from home, 780,000 video calls a day, 3 million chats a day, and their contact centers where their service volumes are up by 21% all around the world, with the highest peak being at 154%. They also expanded their bandwidth and VPN capacity such that they are now able to support more than 5 times more than what maximum users they used to have before pandemic. This was only possible because they had already built the infrastructure, both organizationally, but also technology-wise, in terms of being able to make this transformation in such a rapid way. Well, Santander is not the only financial services which was able to do that. Many others did. And one other example is Goldman Sachs, which currently has 98% of its 38,000 employees working from home, and they did it within days after World Health Organization declared the pandemic, which was March 11th. Goldman, like any other company, was not ready to face this pandemic, but they quickly were able to respond because they had a very scalable solution in terms of underlying technology and virtual desktops. And they have the culture of agility through distributed decision making. Currently, they only have 800 people physical in their offices, but one of those 800 is their CEO, who goes to work almost every day. Technology is the other sector that has stopped stepped up to the challenge. Being born in the cloud or being cloud native obviously creates a huge advantage, creating greater agility in their technology platform, processes, and workforce. That is, the workforce is especially very important when you already have a large number of your teams working remotely, or almost all of them, then it's very easy to face this pandemic. The untethered environments that they were already well embedded in the operations of technology, high-tech and technology companies, allowed them to have a resilient and rapidly scalable response to this pandemic. One example is Zoom video, which we are actually partially using just now, which seamlessly scaled up its video conferencing application to accommodate the 20-fold surge, going from 10 million meeting participants per month in December 2019 to 200 million per month. And very few companies would have been able to respond to such a steep increase in demand in such a short time. But what Zoom did not do as well is really investing in its risk management, and particularly in cybersecurity and privacy investments. Many of you might have heard that effectively starting late March, there has, or actually starting already through March, but towards late March, it became very public that Zoom has had a number of cybersecurity breaches. FBI on March 30th came out with an article where they warned users of Zoom, which resulted in a number of companies banning use of Zoom, and a number of governments, including Google on April 8th announcement and Singapore government on April 9th announcement. And that, what we're seeing here is basically, we wanted to show you how Zoom's share price got impacted for better and for worse. Now Zoom has committed to move quickly to address these security and privacy concerns. For us, or for me, agility is paramount to a firm commitment to cyber and privacy defense. In other words, you need both the level of agility and risk management in order to be able to respond to such pandemics, which is, although what's one of the recent, it's a new one for us, but probably won't be the last one. An important ingredient to a resilient response to the pandemic has been the continuing investment of these companies in agile organizations, certainly, but also in information infrastructure, digitization, and cybersecurity, all at the same time. Having a combined culture of agility and risk is the key to success in dealing with any business disruption. Financial capabilities and business innovation have been the most important focus area for financial services and technology. So it's not surprising that based on Deloitte, banking and technology sectors spend an average of 7.9% and 6.5% respectively as percentage of revenues on IT investment as compared to all industries, which is an average of 3.6%. So that brings us to, how back to financial services, one of my favorites, shows that how things like, utilizing hyper-automation and artificial intelligence can drive banks' agility. So a combination of, again, organization and technology investment. Here you see, thanks to WorkFusion, to provide these use cases, I want to focus on one of the top 5 Canadian banks, Scotiabank, which is using WorkFusion AML solution specifically in measuring and detecting adverse media monitoring, and has resulted that Scotiabank, which had before this automation, 500 individuals manually and with high cost and difficult processes to go through AML, to reduce that to almost 400 and reduce false positives by 95%, and also creating annual cost savings of 15 million, which is projected, with 4.2 million of these costs achieved only in the first 6 months. This is an example of how technology can help organizations to become agile and to face a pandemic like this. What is interesting is back in 1995, John Cutter did a study which he published in Harvard Business Review, saying that 90% of change efforts fail. So we are in a very particular moment in time where all reference frameworks of companies have shattered. Any business plan you've had for 2020 and onwards, you have to rip it off. And no CEO could ever create a push in cultural change as this pandemic has done. So this is at the same time that moment where companies and large corporations should really find this time to think through the reorganization of themselves, to work through this new environment, but also think about not just now, which is what they're doing, but what is next. And so it is the time for the CEOs, CFOs, and board of directors to focus on investments they should do now. And one of the things that's worrisome is with all cost cutting everywhere, it seems that the IT budgets will be reduced as well, as it becomes inevitable that they also become part of the large cost cutting initiatives across all industries, not just the industries which are heavily hurt from this pandemic. But what I would like to do is really ask the board of directors, CEOs and CFOs to focus on 3 strategic areas and to continue subscribe to and invest in these 3 strategic areas. These 3 strategic areas, the first is invest in building agility through the use of technologies such as cloud that enable business continuity, a remote workforce, an agile workforce, and innovation. Secondly, protect both existing cybersecurity defenses and future investments as new. Expanding and perimeterless networks will pose unknown cyber risks, by the way, which we have already seen a huge increase in cyber attacks during this pandemic, and as surface area of the companies have increased due to work from home. And finally, the last thing, call to action for executives, is link investments in cyber, IT infrastructure, and digital transformation. With that, I'd like to thank all of you for your attention, and I look forward to seeing you soon again.